Oh, here we go, Peachy. Here we go. It's that time of year again. No turning back now, mate. This is it. We've got to stick with it.
No turning back. But yeah, this is what the championship is all about. This is what the Second Tier podcast is all about. We're here to give our predictions. We're here to get people excited and pumped up for the season ahead. It's coming. It's hurtling towards us, and we're hurtling towards you as well.
Yes. If you're not excited now, then God help you. This is the time to get excited, ladies and gentlemen, particularly because we have another new announcement, and this is big. Today, here on the Second Tier, we are launching our brand new Second Tier Patreon. Yes, that's right. This is our 6th season making the show, and Justin and I have, for a long time, been wanting to give our most loyal listeners a little extra this year. So if you sign up for the Second Tier Patreon, only costs you £3.50 a month, less than a pint nowadays, you'll get every single show from us ad-free. That's at least 3 shows a week with no ads. That's a good start. Plus, access to the brand new Second Tier Discord server, which is a chat room where you can talk all things Championship with us and other Championship fans. You'll also get a bonus extended edition of every single weekend show. That's right, extended edition. We always get people asking us, why didn't you talk about my team this week? Well, signing up to the Patreon means that will not be an issue anymore. And that's not it. We're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. Our friends at Jameson are giving you the chance to win a pair of home tickets for any Championship club this season. We're giving away 5 pairs of tickets absolutely free. To enter, all you have to do is 2 things. First, sign up to the Second Tier Patreon. Go to patreon.com/second tier. Then answer the following question. Which player scored the very first Championship goal of last season? To answer it, you have to go on a post which we're putting out at midday on Wednesday, the day this episode comes out. Reply to that post with your answer to the question and tag the mate you want to take with you to that game, were you to get a free ticket. That post will be going out on Twitter/X or Instagram. Make sure you get involved. So that's patreon.com/second tier to sign up, and then at Second Tier Pod to answer our question on X or Instagram. You must be 18 or over to enter, and T's and C's apply. Exciting times, Justin, ahead of the new season.
It bloody is exciting. So exciting. I mean, all of that just for £3.50 as well. This just gets you involved. This gets you going. Come on. I want some of this.
Yeah. And the Discord server in particular, Justin, that's the big one, isn't it? I think that one's really exciting.
A safe haven for Championship virgins, nerds. All of us can come.
All virgins here.
We're all virgins here. We can combine. We can talk about Championship football with no judgment whatsoever, because that's all we talk about. That's all we talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, I see so many people asking me, where's a place where I could just chat with fellow Championship fans? And this is it. This is it. You've got it now. So here you can chat with fellow Championship fans and, get the lowdown on what other people think about their own team and their own club. Plus you get to chat with us, which is even better, isn't it? So your old pals at the Second Tier, we're there on Discord. Join us. We look forward to seeing you there. But let's get on to our league table predictions, Justin. And of course, this is our top 8. A quick reminder for the listeners that we've already had 2 episodes come out already. If you go back to Monday's episode, we've got our bottom 8. In Tuesday's episode, we've got 16th to 9th. And then today, we are revealing our top 8. We have made our league table by Justin making a league table, me making a league table, and then us merging together into one to make one league table. And we had a bit of controversy around certain parts of our top 8, a couple of last minute moves around, I think, but we are fully settled on this top 8 now, and we're very excited to reveal it to you now. So let's get into it. Justin Peach, reveal to me, first of all, which team we have sitting 8th in our league table prediction.
It's Bristol City. A heighty 8th for Bristol City. Now, I don't think it'll be a surprise to any listener really that we've gone for Bristol City, mainly because I think everyone has them as their dark horse. I think they're just a natural dark horse, aren't they? There'll be a lot of listeners, a lot of Championship followers who will go full turkey with Bristol City and just automatically go, they're the dark horse for promotion. But maybe they're a little bit more than that, or maybe they should be. I think it's the right time for them to make this step up. It's a really exciting time at Ashton Gate. Their squad is packed full of players heading in the right direction playing wise, meaning I think they all, or the majority of them, have high ceilings. There's been a big transition from the Lee Johnson overspending years to what is now, as well as a very pragmatic Nigel Pearson years, to what is now, I think, is a finely balanced squad, looking to make that step up now into that top six.
Yeah, they've had several seasons of mid-table mediocrity, haven't they? We've been asking them to make that step up for a while. An 8th place finish certainly would be a step up in my book. There's a lot to like about them, in that they've spent the last few seasons signing young players and developing academy lads. And it feels like this may be the season where it all comes together under this progressive manager. He had the 4th best defensive record in the league last season. The back three that they used towards the end of last season is rock solid. A midfield with the likes of Jason Knight, Max Bird, Joe Williams has legs and aggression. They've got width from the wing-backs in Ross McCrory and Cameron Pring, who I think has come on leaps and bounds in the last 2 years. And then the attack, that is one thing holding me back. Quite a few unknowns here. Sinclair Armstrong's come in for a fair bit of money. Powerful, pacey lad, but his end product leaves a lot to be desired. Fali Mayolu is a new striker from Rapid Vienna, who they spent money on too. He could have a big say on Bristol City's futures. If he hits the ground running, then that could be an even better season for Bristol City than what we're predicting. There's been a lot of talk about Scott Twine returning, which would be great as well. Overall, a very likeable squad assembled here, Justin.
It really is. I think maybe you've done Sinclair Armstrong a bit of a disservice. I know at QPR there probably was argument that he wasn't clinically enough, and that's probably fair, but it was his breakout year. But look, he's a willing runner, and I think he's got the potential to be a goal scorer, and he provides such a threat on the counter-attack as well. And then you mentioned obviously Max Bird and Jason Knight, new captain Jason Knight, we should add, that's gonna give him newfound motivation to be at his very best. There's Cal Naismith still on the books. Obviously, he was injured last season as well. Rob Atkinson, Rob Dickey. There's a lot of quality from a ball playing perspective. A composure perspective, a technical perspective as well, mixed with industry and energy, and I think that blend really is almost a perfect situation for Liam Manning to really ride with.
Yeah, they've cleared out a few older players who needed moving on to Andy Vyman, Andy King, Matty James. Now it's a squad full of young, enthusiastic talent. So that's what we're really looking forward to at Bristol City. And the manager is also very exciting himself. Liam Manning. Bristol City fans aren't completely convinced by him. A lot of them are saying it doesn't seem like he's much better than Nigel Pearson before him, and that's fine. I think this is the season to really judge him, though. At MK Dons, he did such an amazing job, which led to him getting linked with loads of championship clubs. Didn't go too well in his second season, but there were other factors at play. Then he did very well at Oxford at the start of last season, winning 10 from their first 15 before he departed. And he did all this playing the best football in League One, developing some very talented young players along the way. The future is exciting with Liam Manning in charge, in my view, and I'm hoping he gets the doubters on board with the project at Bristol City, because it's a project to be excited about.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I think the key thing you've got to remember with Liam Manning is he's a coach that's up and coming, along with this Bristol City squad that is up and coming as well. They're going together, which is a great, great thing. And of course, there are going to be mistakes on the way, which is why they're probably not going to make the top six in the end. They might just fall short. But I think Liam Manning, what he's proven is he's a coach with a meticulous eye for detail. He's good at producing game plans and playing football that is easy on the eye. Much easier on the eye and maybe more consistent as well than his predecessors. You know, we've labelled Bristol City. Lee Johnson's been labelled Streaky Lee, and he's mainly been in charge of Bristol City, and that consistent inconsistency has hounded them. There was an underwhelming air of underwhelmingness under Nigel Pearson would be the best way to describe it. And then Liam Manning's coming in, and I think there's just renewed optimism there. Renewed optimism for a club that's going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that Bristol City, who have been one of these clubs who have been knocking on the door for so long, haven't they? They've got Premier League training facilities, a Premier League ground. It's just about actually making that next step. And they've been angling for that for a long time. I think Liam Manning will be that man, whether it'll be this season or not. So it's very exciting, the future with Bristol City and Liam Manning in charge. Let's go to number 7 in our league table predictions. The team we have finishing just outside of the playoffs, it's Norwich City. So a brief look behind the curtain. We had Norwich higher than this initially. Exciting new manager, a new direction behind the scenes, plus a squad with some extremely talented players. However, we relegated them a few places at the 11th hour. That is in large part to Gabriel Sara. He's gone. I did say not long ago that I'm shocked there hasn't been more interest in him, so sorry about that, Norwich fans. He's left for Galatasaray, and that is such a significant blow. Genuinely could be the worst player for a team to lose in the division, considering his importance to the team. It's that big a blow. Johnny Rowe looks like he may possibly be leaving, with Leeds sniffing around him. Josh Sargent continues to be linked with a move to the Premier League. If Norwich kept all three of them, I think you'd be looking at a top 2 push. I genuinely do.
Yeah.
But obviously Sarah's gone. If they lose Rowe and Sargent, that'll be difficult to recover from for them this season, Justin, won't it?
It will. Look, if you just look at the goals they scored last season, Johnny Rowe got 12, Josh Sargent got 16, and Gab Sara got 13. And then you're not even considering the creative elements that both Johnny Rowe and Gab Sara brought to the team, and the important goals, or the impact of the goals that Josh Sargent scored as well. So losing all three of them would be, I wouldn't say it'd be disastrous. Yes, it would be disastrous, but I'm not losing my head over it. I think the reason why I'm not losing my head over it is because Norwich have been a selling club for a while. Stuart, I forgot his name now. Stuart Webber's been a chaotic individual behind the scenes, and his recruitment policy has not been fantastic for a number of years now. And then Ben Napper's come in, and that's why I'm a little bit more relaxed about all three of them going, because I think Ben Napper, there's just a renewed belief that he's the right man. He's a man with a continuation plan in terms of recruitment. You know, the speed in which he replaced David Wagner is a good example of that. But look, those players are huge players. Gab Sara is a massive player. I think the structure of the deal to Galatasaray is structured over several years, which doesn't scream reinvestment to me. That's a tad annoying, I think, if you're a Norwich fan, because you want to reinvest that money quick.
It helps them stabilise in the long term, doesn't it?
It doesn't, because I think if you're going to replace a player of Gab Sara's quality, you need the money now. You know, it's very hard to go out and sign a player of his ability without splashing £4 or £5 million. That might not be the policy, so therefore the deal might actually work out for them. But I think that's the only thing that would irritate me there, is that they can't go out and get a ready-made replacement for Sara. But then again, what Championship club can?
Well, a lot of people will be listening to this right now asking, why do we have Norwich so high, considering everything that we've said so far? But I agree with you, Justin. It's because of the new direction they're going under in the new sporting director, Ben Napper. He's put his stamp on the club already by appointing an exciting young coach in Johannes Hofthorpe, who we'll talk about more shortly. It's intriguing to see how things go. They haven't made much of a splash in the transfer market. They've signed 3 defenders. One, Callum Doyle, who's one who we know very well. He's a very highly rated young defender who suffered a bit with injury when he was at Leicester last season. Panama international Jose Cordoba from Bulgaria, and Ben Christine from Aston Villa. But I'm fully expecting them to be busy between now and the window closing. The squad they've got has got some very good players as well. Boya Sainz on the left wing. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of. Marcelino Nunes is capable of the spectacular in midfield and is a very good chance creator. Kenny McLean is still going strong alongside him. Jack Stacey and Shane Duffy, steady at the back. And in goal is the man we had as the division's best keeper last season, in Angus Gunn. And I fully expect him to have another good season here as well. So it's a good squad. Josh Sargent and Jonathan Rowe make it a very good squad if they stay. So that's why there's a few tremors with us, Justin, when it comes to predicting Norwich. Yeah. It's quite hard to nail down.
Yeah, we're not losing heads though, which I think is the key thing. We're staying cool, and so should Norwich. You know, everybody relax. Ben Napper's got this. Thorpe's got this. I think one thing you failed to mention is Abu Kamara is coming back off a great loan spell with Portsmouth.
Has been linked with
Norwich fans are angling him. Okay, well, let's not lose our heads. Like I said, let's stay calm. Yeah, but I know Norwich fans have been angling for him to come in and make an impact. And as well, a really important factor is the academy always delivers. the academy will deliver a gem every season at Norwich. That seems to have been a continued theme for several years now. So that may well happen again. It could be Abu Kamara, it could be somebody else.
And we get onto the manager, Johannes Hoff-Thorpe, who we've mentioned a fair bit over the summer, but here's a recap for anyone who doesn't know who he is. He was approached by Napa pretty much as soon as David Wagner was gone. He'd been getting rave reviews for the job he did at Nordsjælland in Denmark. They finished 9th the season before he was appointed and came 2nd in his first full season. Plays exciting, attacking football with young players. That's basically personified by the fact that they beat Fenerbahce 6-1 last November, and 9 of the starting 11 were academy graduates. So this could be the start of a new era at Norwich, and I'm really excited to see how they get on under Thorpe, because it seems like he's a very exciting young manager, Justin.
Yeah, completely agree. I think there's certainly a manager there with a huge amount of potential. We saw the Graham Potter come from Osterund as well, and have the success he had at Swansea and then Brighton. And I think, I'm not saying Thorpe's going to do exactly the same thing, but there's qualities to be found out in Scandinavia, not only in a playing perspective but also coaching and managerial perspectives as well. And I think the likeable factors of Thorpe there are he wants to come in, he wants to play football, he doesn't want to shackle this team. I think David Wagner did that. He's a results-based guy, whereas Thorpe's process-driven. He wants results, he wants success as well, in addition to all of that. So I think that's a positive thing. And like I said, or like you pointed out on several occasions, the speed in which they appointed him I think is a big thing, because we've seen other clubs hum and ha over their replacements. Not Norwich. They went out and got their man.
Yeah. Justin, this is it. The top 6. Who have we got finishing in the playoffs? Well, the first team we have sitting 6th is Sunderland. It's a bold one, people. It's a bold one indeed. It says a lot with Sunderland how I've seen some people predict them to be around 18th. I've seen others predict them to finish in the top 6. I've even seen someone back them to win the league. They're possibly the hardest team to predict in the whole league. With other teams, you've kind of got parameters with where you could realistically see them finish. For me, with Sunderland, those parameters are set between 1st and 24th. I have no clue with Sunderland. So having them 6th is a complete leap of faith, admittedly. But there are reasons for optimism, starting with the manager, Justin.
Yeah, I think he's obviously Regis Lebris. He's coming in as a complete unknown, and with that, it could be a poor appointment, or it could be an incredible appointment, or it could just be 6 out of 10. But I think actually with Sunderland, what they've got there is a manager who he's coming into a squad that he's capable of developing. He's shown that at Lorient. He's experienced as a technical director of academies, etc. He knows how to get the best out of young players. He knows how to improve them and develop them. And what Sunderland have is a very, very talented, quality collection of young players who are bidding to reach up and up and up and up and up and just keep going. And this squad's already shown that they can compete. They can get into the playoffs. They can, other than a tail off last season under Mick Beale and disastrous results January onwards, they were knocking in and around the playoffs. The squad is strong, and I think with a manager who knows how to develop players, I think it's just a very good matchup. Obviously, the results that's where we're going to judge them. But if you're looking at purely judging them just for the judgment's sake, then I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be said, he definitely wasn't the first choice. Sunderland were linked with a number of managers before they ended up with Lebris. However, it may have been a case that they didn't think he would be interested, and so they got in contact with him. I don't know. There could be other reasons behind why it took so long for them to end up with Lebris.
He could have been on his holiday.
He may have been on his holiday. Who knows? What we do know about him is he's got 2 seasons as a manager under his belt, both at Lorient in France. First season, he guided them to a top half finish against all the odds. That was a brilliant job he did. Second season, they got relegated. However, there is a feeling that he was dealt a very tough hand by Lorient, selling all their best players. I feel like Sunderland's season is going to be a replica of one of those seasons. Really good or really bad. Andy Brassel, from our European football show at Stack on the Continent, he reckons there's still a good coach in there. So I'll bow to his superior knowledge on this one. one person who needs this to work out is the sporting director, Christian Speakman, because he's under a lot of pressure from the fans after last season's debacle, as you mentioned, with Beale and then Dodds. But the big reason why we're feeling so positive about Sunderland is, despite last season's total collapse, this is still a very talented squad, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, and again, something that really needs to be pointed out is the results dropped off significantly when Jack Clarke also got injured. Now, he's a man who can carry a team on his own, and if he stays at Sunderland, my God, I think Sunderland have the potential to hit the top 6. Then you've got Dan Neil. It's a strong spine. Dan Neil, Dan Ballard, Anthony Patterson, and number 9 they might sign. It's a talented squad that is just missing that last piece of the jigsaw, isn't it? But it's just packed with quality. It's Trey Hume, Joe Bellingham. My goodness, like, you can just reel it off. If you were, taking on a Football Manager project, you'd pick Sunderland, because this is a squad that is just going to keep on developing, and therefore you want to win titles with them, because they've got every single player, I think, has got such a high ceiling at that football club. And then you mix that with an academy that genuinely is very good at bringing players through as well. I think it's such a good situation. But like you said, I think the only thing that puts me off really getting behind him is Christian Speakman, the technical director, because the debacle with the managerial situation last season, but also finding a number 9 that can replace Ross Stewart, and also keeping hold of Ross Stewart for way too long as well. That, to be quite blunt, took the piss a little bit as well.
Yeah. Get back onto the squad. Anthony Patterson, an excellent goalkeeper. Dan Ballard, one of the best centre-backs in the league for me. Luke O'Nien is a batshit crazy shithouse, but is very good alongside Dan Ballard. Trey Hume, one of the best right-backs in the division, although has been linked with a move away, so want to keep an eye on there. One big problem last season was left-backs getting injured, but Dennis Sirkin is back, and that's a big boost. The midfield is stacked with talent. Dan Neil, Pierre Ekwa, Joe Bellingham, all should be future Premier League players if everything works out. Alan Brown has come in. He's just had his best season in years at Preston. And you've also got to keep an eye out for Chris Rigg, who's probably the most exciting young talent outside of the Premier League. He really is. The front line is where the question marks lie, because will Jack Clarke still be there? The chances are right now, probably not. Ipswich have been very strongly linked, amongst other clubs. Patrick Roberts isn't coming off the back of a great season. We know what he can do, but he's had a pretty poor season. They have signed Jan Poveda, which I think could be a really shrewd move. The big question is, will they finally get a striker? We've been waiting a year and a half for them to finally get one in. And it may be coming in the form of Ike Ugbo, who had an impressive spell with Sheffield Wednesday last season. He has been strongly linked with a move to Sunderland. So we'll see. If Labrie gets a tune out of that squad, they will surprise people. And there's every possibility that does happen, because it is such a talented squad. And look, it is a big if, whether he gets a tune out of them or not. But it's going to go one of two ways, I think. And I'm happy to back it going well in this instance, Justin.
I think that's the thing. If the club is settled, they go in the right direction. They move well. The first season in Championship under Tony Mowbray, I wouldn't say it was a fluke, but they probably overachieved a little bit getting into the playoffs. And then I think if Mowbray had still been in charge, obviously I know he took illness last season as well, but if he'd have still been at the helm at Sunderland, I think they'd have been a good shout for a top half finish, playoff flirtation as well. I just think the Mick Beale appointment, the time it took to appoint Mick Beale, and then sacking him, and then Mike Dodds coming in and not really picking the team up, Jack Clarke getting injured. This squad last season, I think, was better to push for the playoffs, was good enough to push for the playoffs as well, but barring decision making upstairs, and I don't think it's any different now. I think it's been a good steady progress, results aside, last season.
Yeah, and that's the concern, isn't it? If it doesn't go well with Labrie, when they get someone else in, do we have faith in them making the right decision? Based off last season? No. Justin, let's go up to 5th. Who have we got sitting pretty just above Sunderland?
We've got Middlesbrough. It's probably the team I'm most excited about watching this season, because goodness grief, they've got such a talented squad. But more on that later. But I think what we've got with Middlesbrough here is a team there who will be looking to make up for last season's disappointment by correcting the mistakes they had. It's worth bearing in mind that they had an injury crisis. I don't think that at any point during last season did they have their best 11. I also don't think they ever really got going either. They lost experience at the back with Darrell Lenihan with injury, and as I say, it was a shame because they never got the ball rolling, and it was frustrating, and that's why it probably felt like a season of disappointment. But barring an injury crisis once more, the squad is well balanced, it's packed full of quality, and it looks set to go again.
It really, really does. Because you're right, last season was disappointing. They did have a lot of injuries. They also didn't properly recover from letting players go. But they did get better as the season went on, particularly in front of goal, which was a big problem when they were creating as many chances as they were, but couldn't put them away. Well, now they've got Emmanuel Latelaf, a man who got better as the season went on after a poor start and finished with 11 goals in 12 games. He could be unstoppable this season if that form were to continue into this season. They have been linked with Tommy Conway from Bristol City as well, and that'd be very exciting if that happens. In attack, they've also got Isaiah Jones, Marcus Force, Riley McGree, players who have been a part of successful Borough sides before. Finn Azaz as well, who's a creative mastermind, someone you and me rate very highly, Justin. They've also been linked with a move for young Man City winger Micah Hamilton. I don't know too much about him, but intrigued to see how that one goes if he does join. I'm very excited by a midfield of Hayden Hackney and new signing Aidan Morris from Columbus Crew in America. That has the potential to control a lot of games this coming season. So that's something I'm really excited to see. And the defence has often been an Achilles heel for Borough under Michael Carrick, but it's looking very good in terms of personnel. Rav van den Berg has heaps of potential, and Matt Clark, for me, is quite easily the most underrated defender in the league. I think he's in the top 5 centre-backs in the league. I think he's absolutely class. And then you've also got Del Fry, Darrell Lenihan, players who are quite experienced at this stage and have been doing it at this level for years. Very good defenders. I'm very high on this Middlesbrough team, Justin. Do you share my excitement?
I do. If I could get up to Middlesbrough on a regular basis, I would, because they're the team that I would want to watch probably more than any other team in this division. I mean, you ruled off loads of names there, but there's Delano Bergzorg, who's arrived from Germany as on loan at Huddersfield last season. I'm excited to see him in a system that will allow him to play and flourish. Marcus Force is always the right man in the right spot as well, and he's good for double figures. Latelaf, you mentioned as well, he's found that clinical edge, or hopefully he's found that clinical edge, and his goal scoring form at the end of last season. Can he bring that into this season? If he does, my goodness, he's going to score goals. This team is packed full of quality, it's packed full of chances. Yes, defensively, it's probably not as good as their attack, but the experience of Luke Ayling coming in, Sonny Dieng having another season, or having a season under his belt as first choice. I'm so excited. Raf van der Berg as well is a player who caught my eye last season in defence. He was a quality defender, and I think, again, another year experience. Yeah, I am. I want a season ticket. I want to move closer to Middlesbrough just to watch them play on a reg.
Okay. Why not? Why not? On top of all that is a manager in Michael Carrick, who we both rate very highly, don't we? Took Borough on an astronomical rise in his first season in charge. Last season, an 8th place finish. Not actually too bad after the ins and outs of last summer and the injuries, I suppose. I think Carrick still has a lot of potential as a manager. They are getting better at the back, which, as we say, has been a bit of an Achilles heel for him in the past. Plays some of the best football in the league. There's a lot of belief in him from the Borough fans, and it feels like they've sort of geared towards this season being one where they have a bloody good go, and I'm all aboard, Justin.
Yeah, this is it. I think this feels like the first season where Michael Carrick's got everything he needs to really make a push. Obviously, he arrived halfway through his first season, taking over from Chris Wilder. It was Chris Wilder's squad that was built for Chris Wilder, and he got them to a playoffs. And then last season, there was a lot of recruitment, replacing those outgoing loan players, as you've spoken about. It took time to blend them in. Now we've got Michael Carrick and this squad together, first full season where it feels like it's his squad and it's his identity. And what we've seen so far without all of that has been very promising. So what can he do when he's got all of those the right ingredients? He can cook. Boy, could Carrick cook.
I want to see this man cook. Let him cook. Justin, let's have a quick break. After that, we shall reveal our top four. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast. So we've spent the last 2.5 episodes talking about the bottom 20 in our Championship League table predictions. This is it. Up to the big boys now. The top four, Justin. Oh boy. Let's get on to who we have fourth. Who have we got there, Justin?
We've got Burnley. Now, I say it with a bit of a question mark. We've got Burnley. Burnley are a hard one to place. I've seen many people place them outside the top 6. I've seen many people place them in the top 2. Maybe a balance is there, putting them in the playoffs and seeing what they can do. But I think the obvious caveat with Burnley is Scott Parker. Now, this is a man who has delivered 2 promotions, granted, but he likes to play with the handbrake on. He's a handbrake first man. He's that person at the top of a hill who's trying to get the car out of a handbrake, get it in gear, and it's just like, come on, man, just move in your car, just go. Scott Parker is that guy. He doesn't play with the handbrake off like characters, for example. And I think another metaphor to throw Scott Parker's way is, if you think me talking about CrossFit and vegetarianism is boring, so is Scott Parker boring. That's as close as I can get it. You'll get bored of me talking about being a vegetarian and being a CrossFitter. People will get bored of watching Parker Ball.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm it's very, very boring listening to Justin talk about those things. So that's as good as a metaphor as Justin's going to produce.
You'll soon flood back wanting to hear more of my gym anecdotes after watching a season of Parker Ball.
I'm not really sure I will. Look, Scott Parker gets results, but he doesn't do it the most convincing way. Is he a great man manager? Is he a tactical innovator? I don't think so. But at this level, he undoubtedly does a job, because you don't get 2 promotions by being a mug. However, I have too many reservations about him to put Burnley in my top 2. If he gets this team promoted, I think it'll be his most impressive job yet, because while it is a talented squad, I don't think it's as good as the Fulham and Bournemouth teams he had in his previous 2 promotions. Justin, do you agree?
This is a difficult one to really break down, because if you look just purely at the forward line, I don't see a Dominic Solanke or a Alexander Mitrovic. But I do potentially. But again, Lara Foster's coming off the back of 1.5 seasons where he's really struggled to get his Burnley career going. This could be the season. I've seen a lot of decent highlights of him in pre-season, which is a promising one. I've seen some very good goals as well, so maybe. But Lara Foster's not going into the season with that goal-scoring record or prowess or potential that Dominic Solanke and Alexander Mitrovic did. That being said, those two should never have been playing in the Championship anyway. But that doesn't mean that Scott Parker can't get more out of the players that he's got there. And boy, does he have a lot of players. I think that's the key thing. He's got a lot to pick from. That could be a problem, but also could be a nice thing to have. So I do think the squad is perhaps not as good as the other 2 squads, but I do think the margins are fine.
Yeah, you mentioned the squad. It is ridiculously big. It's outrageously large. 38 players on the books from the last time I counted. That is just insane. And juggling all of them may be a bit of a challenge for Scott Parker. It does mean he's got a lot of talent to choose from, though. And I always think squad depth is a very underrated thing that a lot of people don't consider when it comes to long-term predictions, because when you're playing 46 games in a season, it does certainly help having a lot of players in different positions. Who's actually going to be playing in this team week in, week out? I don't actually know. For me, I'm not seeing a lot of outstanding talent in the squad, though. I think there's a lot of top-end Championship players here. Nowadays, to get promoted, I think you need some Premier League quality in there as well. There is undoubtedly 1 or 2, but considering how much they almost succumbed to relegation last season, I'm not sure how many players in this group will step up and show that they are too good for this level. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but at the moment I think it's a bit of a hot mess, Justin.
It probably is a bit of a hot mess. That's a very good way of describing it. Sometimes hot messes are nice, like a chocolate lava pudding, but I'm not seeing that with this Burnley squad at the moment. It's one of those that it just needs refining. I mean, there's 7 senior centre backs at the club, for example. That's far too many, and you can only pick a 25-man in the squad in Championship as well. So it's going to need refining. But that being said, there are a lot of players there that got Vincent Kompany's team into the Premier League, and I think that's going to go a long way. I think Manuel Benson, for example, didn't get a fair crack in the Premier League, although Vincent Kompany decided very quickly that he probably wasn't up to the standard, but he is up to the standard in the Championship. We saw the goals he was scoring. Similarly with Josh Brownhill, Josh Cullen, I like those two very much, especially in the Championship. That's gonna help. And Dara O'Shea got that move to Burnley because of his quality playing for West Brom in the Championship as well. So you are right; these are top quality Championship players. But sometimes you have a squad of top quality Championship players and they get you up like Luton did.
I would disagree with you there, actually, Justin. I think it's too easy to say, well, a lot of the players in this team got promoted a couple of seasons ago and they're still there. They're now being used in a completely different way under a new manager. Will he be able to get the best out of them? Will they bounce back after the disappointment of last season? Many of them were in and out of the team last season. So there's just too many question marks for me to put faith in them finishing in the top two and just looking at that squad and saying, yeah, it's almost half of it is pretty much the same squad as it was under Kompany. I think also there's players there who you've mentioned who have been linked with moves away. Dara O'Shea, I've seen yesterday linked with Brentford. Lau Foster's been linked with a move away as well. And that squad undoubtedly needs refining. I'll be intrigued to see how many new signings come in before the window closes. They obviously don't need new signings because they've got bloody 38 players on the books. But yeah, there's a lot to choose from there. But going back to my point that I was just making, I think it's too easy to look at that and just say, yeah, nearly the same squad that Kompany got promoted with. It's a completely different time that we're that we're here with Burnley.
It is. You're absolutely spot on. I mean, they've had success with Sean Dyche having the same, a very similar squad throughout the years of sort of being promoted, then being relegated, and bouncing back up again. And that's continuity in manager, system, culture, and everything. Whereas it's going to be a change under Scott Parker from Vincent Kompany. Can I just add something that might get people thinking a little bit more?
Absolutely, we'd love to think here.
Scott Parker is the first manager with hair who's bidding to get Burnley promoted since Owen Coyle. They've had a lot of success with bold managers.
They have. Maybe that's where they've gone wrong, Justin. Why didn't they think of a boldy manager to get in instead of Scott Parker? Bloody hell. Amateurs. Should have got Rooney in. Let's go to our top three. Here we are, ladies and gents. In third place, we've got Leeds United.
Ooh.
The team who many have picked to win the league this season. The bookies have them down as the favourites for the title, and we've gone bold with them. Look, last season, Leeds were the best team we've ever seen at Championship level, who didn't get promoted. It was a squad stacked with talent, and still very much is, isn't it? A defence with Bogle, Roden, Stroik, and Firpo. That is rock solid. And then Ethan Ampadu in front of them. It doesn't get much better than that at this level. The rest of the midfield, hard to nail down. Brendan Harrison is back. Leeds once spent 25 million on him, of course. He says he's committed to helping them get promoted again, but he is coming off the back of two really poor seasons with Leeds and a poor loan spell at Union Berlin. When I say two poor seasons, you know what I mean. Poor season at Leeds, poor season at Union Berlin. Joe Rothwell has come in, who is very good. Not sure he's amazing, but he's very good. I'm not completely sure about Ilya Gruev either. I need to see more of him. So that's the midfield. But the big concern is in attack, because Crescencio Somerville is gone. That's a massive blow. It looks like Willie Gnonto will follow, possibly Jorginho Ruta as well. And that's the uncertainty here with Leeds, Justin. That's why I'm apprehensive with going the full throttle with them.
Yeah, there are certain concerns with people departing. I think that's the big thing. That's why it's hard to say Leeds are going to be top, because I think, again, with Leeds, it's very easy to get carried away, isn't it? It's very easy to go, well, Leeds are Leeds. They're going to finish top. They're going to finish first. Let's put them in the top two. It's easy enough. But when you do look at it a little bit greater and you look at the depth behind the likes of Somerville, Gnonto, Ruta, you start to unpeel things, and it's like, well, actually, this orange isn't quite as juicy as it was. It's not looking as fresh as you want it to be, and I think that's the big concern. I think as a back five, back six, Leeds probably have the best in the division. You're looking at the back four. potentially the goalkeeper if Messier can find form, Ampadu, and I do rate Gruev. I think he's got room to grow and potential there. But they do need to bring in reinforcements desperately. Rothwell's a good attacking element. He delivered for Southampton, delivered a few beautiful goals as well. So he's going to add that edge to that Leeds midfield, which could be great. But it's that attack is looking once great, now light. It's not looking ideal, is it?
No, it's not. Because put it this way, if all three of them are gone by the time the window closes, that is just so significant because Leeds aren't going to bring in anyone as good as those three. It's as simple as that. They are three players who are comfortably Premier League quality, and you're only going to sign players as good as them if you're in the Premier League. And so if you're backing Leeds to go up, I think you're essentially backing them to either keep hold of Nonto and Ruta or have an excellent end to this transfer window. But even then, you won't get players as good as them, will you?
Yeah.
And also, if they lose those three, as you say, all they've got is Dan James, Patrick Bamford, Joel Pirro, and young Matteo Joseph. Yes, Matteo Joseph, very highly rated, but that's not good enough in a promotion-winning front line. So that's why I'm urging caution with Leeds. Now, of course, there's every chance they will get in 2 or 3 attackers, and they may very well get them to the Premier League. But with this uncertainty we've currently got, I think they may fall short.
I think what I will add, and what is important to add, and the positive you need to spin with Leeds is, I mean, we are talking about them finishing third, not 17th or 18th. We are talking about them finishing third. They have the pulling power to replace the likes of Somerville, Nonto, Ruta. It's clear as day. Dan James was very effective for Leeds when fully fit last season. Matteo Joseph, I'm expected to have a big season. He's very high odds for the Golden Boot, which is an interesting thing. And there's a lot of Leeds fans who are really putting a lot of encouragement behind having Matteo Joseph. And the Leeds Academy is likely to unearth a couple of other gems as well, because that's what they do. And it's also worth pointing out Marcelo Bielsa delivered more with less, I think, in terms of squad-wise. The squad he inherited was very average, and he turned them into great players. Can Daniel Farke do that? Probably not. But actually, the Leeds have a pulling power to replace the likes of Nonto, Somerville and Ruta. Yes, they're not going to replace him with the likes of Somerville, players like Somerville, Ruta and Nonto. But I think the money they're going to bring in, they can really, really reinforce their squad, which is going to push them to the brink of promotion, but just miss out.
Well, they've also got the added impetus of Red Bull, of course, getting involved now as well. Mm-hmm. So how that will affect things, I don't know. We've also got to mention Daniel Farke, the manager, who I think is in an interesting position. Of course, 2 promotions out of 4 seasons is excellent. And he's one of the greatest managers we've ever seen at this level, isn't he, Justin? Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But he's got questions to answer this season. Can he avoid a slow start again? And can he avoid the total collapse from the end of last season? They dropped loads of silly points over the season as well. And those silly points could very well have been the difference between them finishing ahead of Ipswich. It's all well and good finishing, getting the league double over Ipswich and Leicester, but they only did the league double over just one of the bottom 10 last season. And that leads to me thinking that there's questions over his in-game management as well when things aren't going well. So all of this makes me think, well, actually, if he doesn't have a good start, he could actually be in trouble.
Well, Daniel Farke is heading into the season under pressure. I think if you take a squad with the quality that Leeds had last season and you don't get promoted, you're going to go into the following season under pressure. There's no doubt about that, and you are right. He's a man who's going to have a magnifying glass on him, and maybe we've overlooked him as one of those managers who could be sacked early on in the season if they don't get off to a good start, because owners could easily pull the trigger and go someone else. But to give Farke some credit, 3 of his 4 championship seasons, he's accrued 90 plus points in each. He was outdone last season marginally by an Ipswich team who were just ever so slightly better. And then the playoffs came down to tactics with Southampton, Russell Martin doing a number on Leeds in that playoff final, and that's where you do start to question Farke's in-game management. And obviously, teams who are sitting deep against Leeds last season found it fairly comfortable at times. And again, you've got to look at Farke, who's a man. Can you overcome that? Can you overcome that? Maybe selling the likes of Somerville Nonto will allow him the personnel to come in and make those decisions in game, but that remains to be seen. So, quite right to have some reservations, but I think you've got to give Farkas some credit, and I do think he's the man to lead Leeds into the Premier League.
Oh yeah, well, we'll fully give him credit, Justin, but he 100% has to answer a lot of questions this season. Another thing is as well, we've got question marks over Nonto and Ruta. How many times last season did we watch a Leeds game where they are really struggling to get the job done, and then Crescencio Summerville came out of nowhere and got something from the game?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen this season. So that's another concern to add. I mean, we have spent a lot of this sounding quite negative about Leeds when we have got them to finish third, after all. So we're not expecting like a bad season or anything. We're actually expecting it to be a really good season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Leeds get on again this season. But considering pretty much every prediction I've seen has them to finish top, I don't think it's as straightforward as that, when there's undoubtedly a lot of questions that they've got to answer.
Yeah.
Let's get on to our top two, Justin. In second place, we've got Coventry City. We think Coventry City will finish in the top two. Told you we were going bold this season. Look, last season we made a big call with Ipswich getting promoted. The season before we made a big call by saying Luton will go up. So we've got a track record with these, Justin, and we both fancy Coventry to be the big surprise of the season. And here's why. Right now, I think Coventry may have the best all-round squad in the league. Other teams need additions. I don't think Coventry need that much. They've got a new goalkeeper in Oliver Dovin from Sweden, who I'm excited to see. Also got Brad Collins, who did a sterling job when he was called upon last season. Bobby Thomas at the back is an excellent defender, and they have loads of great options to play alongside him in either a back three or a back four. Milan van Ekvijk is a phenomenal right back. An absolutely phenomenal right back. Lightning quick, offers so much in attack for Coventry. Good defender as well. Left back could be a bit better. Jake Bidwell, Jay De Silva, both solid operators, could be better. The midfield, Ben Sheaf, best midfielder in the Championship. No doubt about it in my mind. All-round player, complete Rolls-Royce of a player. I absolutely love him, and without a doubt the best midfielder in the Championship. Jack Rodoni, new signing from Huddersfield, a lot of promise, can create something out of nothing, works very hard as well. Really like that signing. Victor Torp is someone I'm really excited to see more, which may be someone who goes a bit under the radar for Coventry. Joined last January, showed real glimpses of excellence, and now has had a bedding in period to get used to the league. Really excited to see him. I think Josh Eccles is another one who I think is quite underrated. In attack, you've got Tatsuhiro Sakamoto, who was thrilling to watch before he got injured. This lad puts defenders on their arse like it's nothing. It's as easy for him as it is breathing. And then new signing Epson Mason-Clark was possibly the best player in League One last season with Peterborough. That's a really shrewd move, which again I think will go under the radar for a lot of people. And then you've got two top goal scorer contenders in Haji Wright and Ellis Sims. They both took a while to get going. I think that's fair to say, Justin. But they scored a combined 28 goals in Coventry's 29 games after Christmas. Plus they've added Brandon Thomas Asante for a different option off the bench. It's so exciting, that front line. In fact, the actual squad itself is excellent. Absolutely superb. Loads of depth. I'm so excited about Coventry City this, Justin. I don't know if it's come across or not.
Yeah, I mean, you've not left me too much room to really add to the squad, have
Sorry.
you? There isn't really much I need to add into the squad. I do agree with a lot of what you said. I like the squad. It's probably one of the most exciting attacks in the division, I believe, because you've got the likes of Haji Wright, Ellis Sims, good for double figures. Sakamoto has got that technical quality in the right area. You've got Ephraim Mason-Clark who's come in. Jack Rodoni has also come in. There's excitement there. There's excitement. There's depth. That's the big thing there. If you're going to push for top two, you need depth, and Coventry have depth. Doug King showed a lot of ambition in terms of backing Mark Robbins financially and in terms of personnel. And they make the right signing more often than they make the wrong signing as well, which is a positive, a huge positive. As I say, there's not much else for me to add to the squad. You've reeled it off. It's a quality squad. It's well balanced. There's seasoned Championship operators in there, mixed with quality players from overseas mixed with young up-and-coming players. It's bloody lovely.
It is. It is so juicy, and don't be surprised if they add more to the squad before the window closes either. Of course, we've mentioned the squad, but a lot of the excitement also comes from the manager, who I've said many times is doing the most underrated job out of any gaffer in the country right now. Mark Robins, League 2 to the edge of the Premier League. I think he can take them all the way to the top. His record of developing players is excellent. Tactically, he's up there. His substitutions and in-game management often been a criticism by Coventry fans, but he's an absolute legend at the club. And if he gets them promoted, they may as well start erecting that statue there and then, Justin. Now for an unbiased view on Mark Robins, here's the president of the Mark Robins fan club, Justin Peach.
Is it unbiased if I'm president of the Mark Robins fan club?
Sounds it.
I don't have a pro Mark Robins agenda. I don't have a negative Mark Robins agenda. I'm just pro Mark Robins. Mark Robins is the man. He is.
You just said you didn't have a pro Mark Robins agenda.
What I'm trying to say is I'm coming completely neutral here into this Mark Robins debate. But my neutrality leans on the pro aspect of Mark Robins. I don't really know what I just said, whether it made any sense. I love Mark Robins. I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to deny it. The man is a god, and a statue is the least the city of Coventry could do for what he's done to their football club over the past several years. I'm not going to reel off what Coventry have been through in recent years because everyone knows it by now. Everyone knows the story, as cleverly detailed by you in a recent YouTube release, I will add.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. The only time I will praise you, because Coventry's story, it needs to be told. It's not like Luton's, don't get me wrong, but it's different. It's successful, and it's down to a man who has carried that football club through thick, through thin, through stormy weather, and now he's getting his flowers, and he deserves it. Yeah,
it's like he's gone through the stormy weather with Coventry, and now he's going on his nice old holiday to the Maldives. This is where he can finally show what he is all about. But we're not completely concernless here, are we, Justin? No. What concerns do we have? What could potentially ruin this prediction? I think the slow start has to be given a mention. They've had slow starts to the past 2 seasons. That's a big concern. Overall consistency, not something we've necessarily seen with them. They do have a tendency to be a bit up and down. And as we were just saying, Mark Robins' in-game management as well could be better. I'm also not sure about the left-back position, as I was alluding to earlier. Bidwell and De Silva, 2 solid left-backs, but not outstanding. Anything else that you think may be a concern?
I think those are problems that have been addressed. Yes, the left-back side doesn't match up to the right-back in terms of quality, but like you said, they're good seasoned operators in the Championship, bar De Silva and Bidwell. And likewise as well, if a slow start is probably down to recruitment, down to injury, down to outside factors impacting the club. They don't have that going into this season unless someone takes a tractor to the CBS pitch and destroys it overnight, which is unlikely to happen. We won't rule it out, but this
hopefully
is the
that doesn't happen again.
Fingers crossed. And there's no rugby being played on it right now either. So, Olympic rugby or Commonwealth rugby, anything like that. The only concerns I would have is losing leadership within the squad and coaching team. I think in losing Kyle McFadden and Matty Godden, you're losing experienced players who have played a big part in the rise in recent years. And in addition to that, it's a change of culture. So other players have got to step up. You could potentially lose Ben Sheaf as well. Ipswich have been heavily linked with him during the summer. So there's potential there to lose Rolls-Royce of midfielder. To quote Ryan, I would never say that statement myself. And of course losing it...
Because you hate the Rolls-Royce term.
Yes.
Not because you don't think Ben Sheaf is very good.
Yeah, I rate Ben Sheaf very highly. I hate the term Rolls-Royce. It makes no sense whatsoever. Adi Vivesh, Mark Robins' trusted lieutenant, he's left as well, which might be a positive or it might also be a negative. That's the only thing that I would drop a concern in. But top 2, it's well on.
Yeah, there's every chance that they are the big surprise of the season. We're both very excited, aren't we, Justin, about Coventry City, and you and I are both very much aboard. Wait for it. the Robins Rocket. Because it's only going up from here, Justin. It's only going up. That's what you and I are aboard all season. Justin failed to get on board the Ipswich are going up tractor last season. He's well on board. Early doors, the Robins Rocket. And we'll see how that one takes off. Right, this is it, people. First place. The team we have to win the championship this coming season. In first place, we have got Luton Town. Now, I will be honest, I found it particularly difficult this season choosing a league winner. There wasn't a standout team for me, and I think that's because there's so many unknowns with these teams at the top. However, if you're asking me to put all my chips on the table and put them all on one team, I will always have faith in Luton Town getting things right. And that's because they're arguably the most well-run club in the country. Now, you may look at it and go, well, Luton haven't done much business this summer, and that's understandable. But I don't think they really need to. They have kept together the core of that squad that they had in the Premier League, put up such a good fight in the Premier League, bar Ross Barkley, obviously. I still expect them to be very active in the window before it closes, just to iron out a few issues, which we will get onto. And we should all know by now, Luton's recruitment is second to none. Now, the squad might not be full of recognisable names like the Leicester squad of last season, but it's still very strong, isn't it, Justin?
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. It's really, really strong. You've got a defence there who's it's been built up over a couple of years. You've got Rhys Burke, who's a seasoned operator with Luton now. You've got Taylor Mengi, who was a standout star of their Premier League campaign last season, who really stepped up. His athleticism and his ball reading capabilities are great, and he's going to be a huge asset for Luton this season, among others. Thomas Kaminski is a great goalkeeper. Tim Krul was a great backup, a really good backup, and that's before we even get onto the midfield. It seems well balanced. You've got two destroyer-like players in there, like Marvelous Nakamba and Rudik and Panzu, mixed with a bit of poise ahead of him in Heath Chong, and then you've got wing-back areas. It's just a perfectly balanced squad. I think that's the only way I can describe Luton, is it's perfectly balanced. There's nothing greatly, there's no star power. There are just 8 out of 10s everywhere. There's no 10 out of 10s, there's no 1 out of 10s, there's just 8 out of 10s everywhere, and that's the big thing with Luton Town. That's why they're going to push on.
I would argue that there are a few 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s in this team, Justin. I mean, Thomas Kaminski was excellent for Luton in the Premier League. A top-class goalkeeper. Ted Mengi, you've already touched on him there, Justin, but he is a beast at centre-back. He has been linked with a move away, but an absolute beast at the back. Amari Bell, an underrated player. Someone I really, really rate, and I don't think gets the recognition for how good he is. They definitely need to strengthen at centre-back, so it'll be interesting to see who comes in. But there's no getting away. That needs to be an area that they improve in. At right wing back, they've got a new lad in Rule Walters, a 19-year-old from Arsenal who's been getting rave reviews in pre-season. I'm looking forward to seeing him. They also have Chidozie Ogbeni, who's coming off the back of a great season in the Premier League. Speaking of great seasons in the Premier League, Alfie Doherty at left wing back. Amazing season in the Premier League. I think he could rack up a lot of goal contributions for someone who is a defender. He probably should be still in the Premier League if we're all being honest. In midfield, Marvelous Nakamba and Jordan Clark, they played big roles in Luton's promotion. I would like to see them strengthen further in that position though. They have got Shannon Baptiste in, who I think could be the underrated signing of the season for Brentford. One that won't pick up many headlines, but a really, really intelligent player. Tarif Chong, if he stays, is a wonderful player to watch in the number 10 role. And then up front, wow, Carlton Morris and Elijah Adebayo. 2 players who each got double-figure goals in the Premier League. Any player who scores double-figure goals in the Premier League is guaranteed to score goals in the Championship. And Luton have got 2 of them. That's one to fear. They are guaranteed to score a lot of goals in the Championship, and they are going to give a lot of defences sleepless nightmares. Sleepless nights? Sleepless nights. And when they are asleep, nightmares as well. They've got Jacob Brown as well, who can do a good job at this level. I wouldn't mind another striker for a bit more depth, but you can't go wrong with Morris and Adebayo. That is, without a doubt, the best front 2 in the division. And then we've got the manager, Rob Edwards, someone whose stock I only expect to keep rising this season, Justin.
Yeah, Rob Edwards is such a unique manager. In that what he showed in coming into Luton Town is when we get managers to come in halfway through a season, they can rip it up and change everything. Wayne Rooney did that unsuccessfully at Birmingham last season, for example. It can go a really bad way, but Rob Edwards identified the fact that the club's been successful, it's being successful, it's in form, the players play a certain way, they play well in a certain style and philosophy. I'm not going to change too much of that. And all he did was slowly embed a more of an attacking principle out of them. He got more out of the wing backs. They pushed higher up the pitch. And that essentially pushed Luton into the next category it needed to go into to make the step up into the Premier League. They needed to get more out of their attack. They needed to be harder to predict and play against. And Rob Edwards made that. Not only that, he shows great humility. He shows a great human side of him. He's emotional. He's empathetic. The Tom Lockyer situation, visibly displaying emotions. You do not get that in football very often, let alone from a manager. I think that goes a long way, not only from supporters and in creating that unity and that club. It creates the unity within the club, but also it gets players behind you. You've got a manager who cares about you on a human side. You're not just an asset to a football club. You are a human being. You matter for this football club, and that goes a long way in developing that squad harmony and getting everyone behind you.
Yeah, and he's got the players fighting for him, hasn't he? Yeah. And when you've played the way Luton Town do, where there's such an emphasis on working harder than the other team, that will go a long way. This man, Rob Edwards, just gets Luton Town. He seamlessly took over there and took everything to the next level. And he recognises the team's strengths. He's got the tactical ingenuity to change games when it's not going their way. He can adapt to whoever it is that are playing. An excellent manager. He ticks a lot of boxes. And it's no wonder Ipswich were interested in him when Kieran McKenna was reportedly looking like he may be heading out the door. And if Ipswich are looking at you, then I don't think you're doing too much wrong as a manager. He is the perfect man to lead a promotion charge for Luton. Now, I will admit it is a bit of a leap of faith with Luton having them top, because they do need to bring in a handful of players before the window closes, without a doubt. The squad isn't perfect right now. Even we will admit that, despite us with this prediction. But I'm putting my faith, well, if I'm putting my faith in any club to get it right, it's Luton Town, especially when they've got a bit more wriggle room than before with the Premier League money. And look, Justin, if we were to give the listener a glimpse behind the curtain, we can admit that you took a bit of convincing to have Luton top of the league, didn't you? But have I won you round?
Do you have? No, you've not won me round. You've not convinced me at all. Luton Town as a football club has convinced me. All you've done is point me. You just guided me. You've shifted my body shape in the right direction. That sounds really weird. You've pointed me in the right direction, I will say. And it's Luton Town as a football club, as a concept, as a principle. They're a hard-working team and club. They get things right, decision making right. Recruitment is second to none. It is genuinely probably one of the best run recruitment teams in the country. I might stretch to say Europe, but it's probably got a little bit of way to go there. Just the way they identify talent for their squad. It's out of this world, and that's why Luton Town are heading in the right direction. They just know what they're doing. They get things right, and you can't say that about a lot of football clubs.
Yeah, and they have this habit of proving a lot of people wrong, don't they? A lot of people said they were not going to get promoted last season or the season before last. They did that. A lot of people gave them absolutely no chance in the Premier League, and admittedly they did get relegated, but they put up much more of a fight than a lot of people expected. And I think they can once again prove a lot of people wrong and not just get promoted, win the league. And Justin, we've come to realise now that with Luton Town, they are the team who, I mean, it sounds so patronising, but they are the team who can just completely outshine expectations, aren't they? And that's why we've got the faith in them, as well as everything that we've just listed there. And I'm sure a lot of people will gawk at our top two when we put it out later this week. It's certainly bold. But look, we were bold 2 seasons ago when we said Luton would get promoted. We were bold last season when we said Ipswich would get promoted. we've gone bold again here, but we've got the track records, which means we have a habit of also, like Luton Town, proving people wrong.
And a reputation as well. We need to uphold. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Do we get a lot of things right? Yeah, we do. Yeah, why not?
Absolutely, we do. The last two league tables, mate. Look at them. I mean, we obviously people will give us a lot of flack for our league table predictions, and that's completely understandable. But based off what we've done before, we have shown why we are the #1 championship podcast,
and why everybody associated with Luton Town and Coventry should be giving us a bit of a pat on the back, because that track record. It's an omen. It's an omen.
It's an omen. We've put the omen out there, and now the gods of the championship will be looking down on us and go, "Yep, fine, we can work with that." But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. This has been our league table predictions. If you've not listened to the last two episodes, then make sure you do go and listen to them. We are just about to run through who we've had in each position, but if you haven't listened to them yet, it's a great preview for the season ahead, where we give you basically as detailed a preview as you're going to get about each team in the division this season. So make sure you go and listen to that. Justin, let's just run through who we have in each position of our league table prediction. So in 24th, bottom of the table, we have Plymouth Argyle.
In 23rd, we've got Oxford United.
22nd, also going down, we have Watford.
In 21st, we've got Derby County.
20th, we have Blackburn Rovers.
In 19th, Millwall.
18th, we have Cardiff City.
17th is Hull City.
In 16th, we have New Boys Portsmouth.
In 15th is Stoke City.
Still don't agree with that. 14th place, we have Swansea City.
In 13th is QPR.
12th place is Preston North End.
And in 11th is West Bromwich Albion.
10th place, Sheffield Wednesday.
9th place, Sheffield United.
Top 8, we have Bristol City in 8th.
And in 7th is Norwich City.
Playoff time, baby. In 6th place, we've got Sunderland.
In 5th is Middlesbrough.
4th place, we have Burnley.
In 3rd is Leeds United.
Getting automatically promoted, we have Coventry City.
Finishing the season as champions is Luton Town.
Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting few days, Justin. All right.
R.I.P. the mentions.
Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. The new football season is on our doorsteps, and it's time to bloody let it in, baby. We have, next up, coming for you, our preview show with SBK on Friday, where we'll be looking ahead to the opening weekend of the new championship season and making some predictions. So we look forward to seeing you then for that. And then we're back on Sunday with our weekend review, where we'll be looking at all the games in the championship over the opening weekend. You don't want to miss it. And we look forward to the season ahead. It's here, baby. The championship season is here once again. I cannot bloody wait. But this has been the Second Tier Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big, big thank you for listening.